And we're live. What's up, folks? Thumbs up is appreciated. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. DFS 5-Hack here. Clearly no daily fantasy sports to talk about right now. So we're going to continue on with our little montage of breaking down the different divisions. We did cover the first two in the AL already. We're going to shimmy on over to the West, which is more open than it has been in a while.
It is, but it's still Houston on top. Do you agree?
No.
What?
I don't necessarily agree with that one.
Okay. Who do you have? Oakland?
I think Oakland. I think potentially the Angels if they can get some overachieving on pitching. I also think Houston will get everybody's best shot all season long, and it's going to prove a little bit too much for them to handle. The loss of Cole, is a big deal to me.
You're not wrong, but this team did, win the World Series, and
a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I got confused for a second. I was looking at standings, and it was the spring training standings. It just really threw me off everything. So, yeah, in the World Series last year, they've been in the World Series,
two of the last 3 seasons.
2 of the last 3? Who was the other team that made it?
Boston.
Yeah, okay. Boston won it 2 years ago. So, yeah, it's still hard. I get why you would think the Angels and or A's might have a shot, and I don't disagree with you, but it's a lot of ifs would have to happen, in my opinion.
For sure. It's still a really good lineup. Don't get me wrong. But eventually, Correa's going to get injured, right? That happens every single year, so it's a safe bet he's going to be out at some point. I love this Alvarez kid. Reddick's no big deal. Springer's good, but not great. I like Michael Brantley. Altuve, is this going to prove too much for him to handle? I can see this team, not just because they're not going to have the signs and know what's coming anymore, but they're going to get 162 versions of the opponent's best shot.
They are, but a lot of these, we talked about, a lot of these pitching staffs aren't very good. You talk about George Springer. He's good, not great. I would give him way more credit than that. He's a definite all-star. This is a guy that could potentially win an MVP in my eyes. So I think he's really good. Their lineup is still probably the best in baseball, in my opinion.
It's a big debate, right? Is there going to be a step back without them knowing what's coming? Or is it nothing? Is it a mere bag of shells? And it's kind of like we've caught the Patriots cheating 3 times, but they still are always really good.
Yeah, and we don't know. So, again, I think they do take a step back, but they won 107 games last year. So how big of a step back are you talking here?
Well, you also lose Garrett Cole. So you lose that bona fide ace 30 times a season. And Justin Verlander's still really good, but this pitching staff is not that strong anymore. Zach Greinke's good, but not great at this point of his career. Justin Verlander's still great, but McCullers, Urquidy, Josh James, Brad Peacock, it's not garbage, but when you remove arguably the best pitcher in baseball, that's a big loss. For
sure. I'll counter that by saying that McCullers is pretty good if he's healthy. We'll see what he's coming with. And also, this team was really good even before they were good before they got Greinke. Greinke's not as good as Verlander or Cole, but it's not like they always had those 3 guys. They didn't even always have those 2 guys. So,
Agreed.
I think you're right, and they take a step back, but who in this division do we think is ready to overtake them? It could be Oakland. It could be the Angels. Just not sure either of those teams have it.
Great. They don't have great pitching staff. So let's move over to Oakland and talk about them as we can kind of debate these top teams to start out with. Very much like Tampa, you have to like what the Oakland A's as a team and as an organization bring on a daily basis, right? They always seem to get the best out of their players.
100% agreed.
So their lineup is not, especially on name value, anywhere close to the Houston Astros. And their pitching staff isn't over the top strong by any stretch of the imagination. I like the intangibles of the Oakland Athletics, but on paper, their lineup is not nearly as good.
No, they've got some nice young pieces, but honestly, when you look at this lineup, I don't think it's that much better than the Royals.
No.
Mm-mm. And that is more of a credit to the Royals than a discredit to the A's. I was definitely underrating them. Oakland's solid, and you're right. We like the cut of their jib. They've got a good organization.
Which plays in baseball, right? That plays more in baseball than the other sports. Ultimately, talent wins out in football and basketball more than it does in baseball.
Exactly. Yeah, because they always say, like in baseball, every team's going to win 50 games and lose 50 games. It's all about what you do in those other 62 games. And Oakland can get some extra wins by their grit and how they play. They play good defense. They also, while they're not name brand guys, a couple of guys we like a lot, Matt Chapman, and I know you love Laureano. Those guys are up and coming. They've got some nice pieces. Matt Olson, I like a lot.
Chris Davis, bounce back year. Kanya and Simeon were both really good last season.
Simeon was awesome last year. He got like some MVP votes.
Yeah, this is a good team. Now, their pitching staff, I like Montez. I like a full season of Sean Manaea. But you're right. I mean, I guess not right because you didn't say it, but I think you'd agree with me. Like, they're not as good on the hill as you might want out of them. You know, they could make a trade mid-season, but we don't have that to go off. They don't even have a legitimate number one.
No, they definitely don't. So, again, I know they're expecting big things from that Jesus Luzardo. We'll see.
Who is the relief pitcher, the really good relief pitcher that they don't have anymore?
That they don't have anymore. Their closer from last year. Didn't he like take a Trinan?
Yeah, Blake Trinan. Thank you.
I think he took a big step back last year, though.
Yeah. Okay. Again, let's take a look at them now. Let's move over to Anaheim, Los Angeles, whatever you want to call them. And this is another team. You can't really love their pitching, right? And the lineup itself is good. You know, the addition of Rendon, Simmons, Upton, Trout, but not great. Mike Trout's great, and Anthony Rendon's really, really good. But the bottom of their order is nothing special.
No, but it has potential to be really good. I don't want to say great, but it's another team like with Ohtani and Upton, Pujols. Like I like Ohtani. I think they're the middle of their lineup with Ohtani, Trout, and Rendon is about as good as it gets.
Trout and Rendon, yes. I like Ohtani. I think you're a bigger Ohtani fan and you're most sold on him at this point than I am. But I think he's good, but I don't think of him in the same class as maybe you do. It's where we differ on that one a little bit. Obviously, Rendon is awesome, and Trout is as good as it gets. So who is Justin Upton this year? How healthy is Andrelton Simmons? LaStella had a nice season last season.
He did. He had a real nice year. Simmons is always a guy that you can count on for his defense. Has had certain years where he's been a really good hitter. We talked about Justin Upton, Albert Pujols. I feel like guys like that, the longer the break is better. Like time off is good for those guys.
Sure, but in my mind, like Pujols is just nothing anymore.
I get that.
Other than an empty spot of wasted money, and he'll hit his 30 home runs a year, but he does it while batting 240, not getting a lot of big hits for you. And to me, he's just a guy at this point. And LaStella had a career year last year, but I'm not counting on a small guy. I mean, he's not a big guy in the slightest, 5'11", 180, 30 years old. I'm not counting for a report performance this year.
No, I'm with you on that. I mean, you never know, but again, a lot can change from that, and I don't expect it either.
Pitching staff's not great. Now, they threw in Julio Teheran and Dylan Bundy, who at times have looked like good pitchers and at times who look like complete gas cans. If these guys pitch up to their highest end potential, now you're cooking with gas, but I don't count on that in the slightest.
No, and what's up with Ohtani?
I don't know yet.
Like in terms, because he showed signs a couple years ago of being an ace pitcher. So I think that's a big question mark for them.
Definitely. So this team's definitely, like a lot of other ones, comes with some question marks. Let's move down our list of teams we're looking at to the Mariners and the Rangers. The Rangers are an interesting team because for the first time in my lifetime, they're stronger pitching staff than probably an overall offense.
They are. Their pitching staff, though, could carry them in this division.
It could, and it depends. Like, who is Corey Kluber this year? I know you believe a lot in the Indians organization. You believe they let them to go because he's done. Well, if that's the case, then this pitching staff gets substantially weaker. Mike Minor was awesome last year, and so was Lance Lynn. But I don't trust either one of those dudes for a repeat performance.
Agreed, but I'm like the flip side of that. The Indians aren't right all the time, and Corey Kluber is still like one of the best pitchers, I've ever seen. So if he had a comeback year, as you've talked about, we're not going to be shocked in the least. Minor and Lynn were really good last year. Lynn specifically as the year went on. Gibson is, about as good as number 4 as you can
right.
get.
He's a very solid pitcher.
Yeah, you can't really get a better number 4 than him. I think he's a solid 3. So it's a very good number 4. Lyles, I mean, you can mix and match there. You know, I actually put the Rangers. I think they have a legit shot to be second behind Houston.
Sure.
Their lineup isn't bad either.
No, it's not good. It's not bad. Danny Santana had a nice year. Willie Calhoun's a guy that they've always expected more out of. Elvis Andrews and Chu are wily veterans who aren't what they used to be, but are still decent players.
Yeah. You would have liked to see them. Like, I know there was a lot of talk about them going hard after Nolan Arenado, like in a trade. Instead, they signed Todd Frazier. Like, you put an Arenado on this team, all of a sudden you're cooking.
Yeah, Todd Frazier's not quite the same thing right there. What about Solak? What are your thoughts on him?
He showed some signs last year. I think there's some, potentially upside there, but it's a who knows type of deal for me. They do
I
have
think this team is going to go in extended slumps, though. There's a lot of freaking strikeouts in that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, you took it that Odor, Frazier, yes, Gallo. I like Gallo though. He's continued to improve. This team is, I guess, a sleeper team for me. Their pitching staff, you're right, is their strong point though.
Which is weird because for the entirety of my lifetime, I don't know if I've ever said that about Texas before. It's almost always they do it with the bats. You got a lot of strikeouts in this lineup with Frazier, Odor, and Gallo, Willie Calhoun,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So they're going to go through some slumps because they're not going to be able to manufacture runs. They don't have a lot of guys who can run the bases in here. I mean, Andrews is still fine, but he's not the base stealing threat he once was.
Odor can
Chu. Yeah, well, I mean, does Chu even run at all anymore?
I feel like Chu and Andrews are on similar trajectories. And they strike out too now.
Yeah, so again, if Kluber pitches like an ace and Mike Minor and Lance Lynn repeat last year and you got Gibson, over there. What's up?
They'll win the division if that happens.
I mean, it's not crazy because they'll put up some runs, but they're going to have some extended. You're going to watch Texas go through multiple 5-game losing streaks when they're just not hitting the ball out of the ballpark, and they're going to be losing games 5-1, 5-2 because they're just not going to be able to put runs up consistently.
Yeah, and their pitching staff's good, but it's not like elite, and they don't have a good bullpen. Well, yeah, I will say this about bullpen: like we don't know because bullpens seem to be weird.
Yeah, they're up and down.
You just never know. Guys,
the Yankees bullpen will be good, but you can't say that about a lot of other teams.
Right. Again, baseball's another rare sport where money really matters. The Yankees have the money to spend on more than anyone by a lot.
Other team is Seattle. I think that we can say decent confidence we would expect to be in last place.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on them compared to those other bad teams we've talked about?
They're bad. This is a bad lineup.
Yeah, they're bad, right? I think but their pitching staff is not awful.
It's not good.
No, it's not good.
It's below average, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's a bad team.
I think they're better than the Orioles and Tigers. Maybe not. I don't know.
I'm not arguing with you, but I'm asking what do they have that those other teams don't have? I mean, if I have to ask you who's the best offensive player in this lineup and you can't answer with an affirmative, yeah, this is not a good team. Is it Vogelbach, Seager? These are your best offensive players. I like Tom Murphy, but the catchers don't play every day. This is not a good baseball team.
No, and the other thing is they started off 11-2 or something last year, and then were worse than all those other teams. They ended up being, awful, and they started 11-2, something to that effect.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I feel very confident in Seattle being last place, and you're very confident in Houston winning. I am not as confident in Houston, but gun to head, as I asked you earlier today on some of the other divisions, if I had to pick a team to get first place, I would pick Houston, but I'm not surprised at all if I'm wrong.
I'm with you.
Okay. And then we get into this mess of the other 5 teams in here. And again, if I was a betting person and I had to just make my optimal way that this is going to finish, I would copy last year but switch the Angels and the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm with you. Although at those 3 middle teams, I could see finishing anywhere.
Sure, and I throw Houston in there more than you do because I'm not surprised at all if they just do not have a great regular season this year. But again, we'll watch that one play out. I would still bet on them to be first place, and I would still bet on Oakland second. But between Oakland, Texas, and the Angels, I could see it working out any which way. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, we agree.
Okay. A lot of confidence in Seattle finishing last, though.
Yeah, they suck.
I would like to see the Angels be good. Again, I have so much respect for Rendon. I love Mike Trout because what's not to love? Um, Bad pitching staff, though. It'd be nice to see Trout on a team that could actually shut somebody down.
Yeah, would love for the Angels to be good, man. If they could just get like an established veteran pitcher there, it'd be huge for them.
Exactly. They don't need something great. I don't know. It'd be not, yeah, one good number one pitcher, a Strasburg type or something like that.
Yeah, something very good, not like a Teheran.
Yeah, no, yeah. We said good, not mediocre.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, again, I think we agree mostly on the AL divisions. Then I think we got New York and Houston, um, not with a great amount of confidence in either of them. And then in the Central, you have Cleveland and I have Minnesota, but we both think it's anybody's game right there. Makes me more excited for the baseball season to start.
yeah, same. I mean, I can't wait. Obviously.
Yeah, at this point of the quarantine, I think everybody would just do anything for entertainment of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. We will talk NL tomorrow.
Let's get it.